Chad, do you have anything to say?
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. You're god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. Call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments.
He basically comes at you with the bat, you know, tell him to put it down, you know, script, like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And then he just came at you, you shot him. Yeah, okay.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
All right, guys, welcome to Difficult Research. This is Kresha. I'm Charles Vallow's niece, JJ Vallow's aunt, and Tylee Ryan was my technically my step cousin. Kay and Larry Woodcock are my parents. Just so you know who I am. That makes JJ was born as Canaan Todd Trahan, and he was born to my brother Todd Trahan, and then our uncle Charles Vallow and his then wife Lori Vallow adopted him. And so he went from being Canaan Todd Trahan to JJ Joshua Jackson Vallow. So Anyways, and that's for those of you who have no idea who I am and how I relate to the story. So, I woke up pretty late this afternoon. After yesterday, I was able to breathe for the first time in 4 years. And it's pretty cool because I've not been able to breathe from all the stress and anxiety that has been caused by Vallow Daybell, and Chad Daybell and their ilk. So I sat down on I set on a quest to initially it was to find out where Chad and Lori's Latter-day Saint beliefs differed from to find out where their beliefs differed from their shared LDS Latter-day Saint beliefs. And I've come to find out that they do not stray from Mormonism at all. The only difference is that they referred to a zombie. It's the same thing as a dark spirit, as a demon, it's just another way of saying that. That is it. And I've even read since then that zombie has been used in Latter-day Saint in Mormonism. So my thing is, why do they call them a cult? Why do Mormons call Chad and Lori their own cult? That's got to stop. Because they are part of the same cult, in my opinion. So I ran across, first thing I saw was Zelph on the Shelf had done a video today. I urge you to go and subscribe to them. I appreciate them for being another ex-Mormon channel to cover the story, because I feel it's important. A lot of people believe that Chad and Lori started their own cult, their own offshoot. A lot of Latter-day Saints believe this. And what they fail to realize is that they are no different than your cult, than your beliefs. Maybe not as far as, as extreme as murder, but it's the same thing. And it even, in my opinion, goes further than that. It actually really, my theory, this is just my theory. I have a right to have my own theory. I don't like sharing. It's not comfortable to share. Know that, please. Lori and Chad have put me in a very uncomfortable position, but that's kind of what murder does. It's very inconvenient. So this is what Chad and Lori did is very inconvenient. It is very selfish. It was unnecessary. Okay. Like Judge Boyce said, get a damn divorce, go be with each other. Don't murder. Don't use Brigham Young's blood atonement. Stop your shit, or if you believe in God, it's Mormon Jesus is different than Christianity's Jesus. We believe that Jesus died for our sins. You don't have to blood atone in addition to that. And that is that is very rooted in this. So that being said, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to put my phone down. All right. So let me push play and kind of do like a commentary.
That one will probably be a little lighter, I imagine.
How are you all doing, our fellow non-murderers?
Any murderers in the chat?
Any murderers?
Sound off. What got you into it? Was it religion? Apparently that's a soft intro for a lot of people, especially around these parts.
Does it get easier each time?
Oh, God. Utah has a very interesting, obviously, history of religiously inspired murder.
Way different. Utah and Idaho, they're very conservative Mormon people. That's what they're made up of. But they always can say it way better than I can, because, I'm only 4 years into this. They've had their entire lives to be a part of and to leave, to decide to not be belong to this community anymore, and I commend them for that. High five.
It's endlessly fascinating. Most Latter-day Saints of the Corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are only familiar with like this really, really whitewashed sanitary elementary school version of history. But when you really just start to explore like Utah as a place and Mormonism as a thing, kind of zoomed out a little bit and really deep
Yes,
into it.
zoomed.
The micro.
That's how I've looked at it too. And I guess a lot of people seem to be more tunnel visioned, and they look at only Chad and Lori as being this way, and it is not true. That I don't know. It's just people who don't really do the research and just read the headlines and follow the case that way. Maybe listen to the trial. Know some of the key players like Jason Mal and Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, and Zulema Pastenes, Chad Daybell. When you listen to those things, Preparing a People, Mike and Nancy James, who are still going strong, Visions of Glory, that's what they're delving into these days. The Sisters of Liberty have been diving into basically the same book that Lori damn Daybell had whenever Kauai Police Department served her with papers to produce the children. And she also had it on her nightstand in Arizona, where my Uncle Charles was murdered. It's the go-to book. Chad does not think he's a prophet. I wish people would realize this. He did not set himself apart. That's in latter-day terms. In my opinion, they were directed to do what they did. That's my theory. You can believe it. You cannot believe it. It's just a theory. It's an opinion. We're all entitled to one. So this goes way higher, if you know what I mean. This goes way up the latter-day leadership ladder. I believe that they were commanded or directed, orchestrated, encouraged, nudged, here you go. Maybe even, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like an ultimatum. Maybe that would have set them apart. I don't know. I would love to know.
Macro view. It's pretty wacky. A lot of religiously inspired murder. And I wonder where it came from.
And you got to take the macro view.
You do.
Otherwise, what are we doing? I think the thing that
you can edit this all out.
Puts me off murder the most is like, if you murder someone, you have to watch them die in front of you. Like, that piece alone is just like so horrifying to think about.
I think that's a lot of why they do it. It's like the power thing.
Right.
It is.
Right. So I guess I'm just not the right personality type.
You're not.
So it's like they're not just, sending them off to a better place because it's so bad here. It's not like a Mercy make a little part where she's like, she inserted a video part where she was like, look, I'm not trying to be insensitive. It is uncomfortable to talk about. It is, but it is necessary. So we can't judge people like Zelph on the Shelf. We can't judge them for trying to talk about something so uncomfortable. And I do the same thing. I'm the same way. I have to make a lot of jokes, uncomfortable, inappropriate even. It kind of sounds morbid, just like conjecture, just to kind of get through it. It's dark. It's very uncomfortable to talk about. And so, she didn't want to come off as being insensitive. See right here.
Video, it's just uncomfortable uncomfortable topic. I think I was laughing at just me struggling to look for serial killer and saying multi-murderer, but yeah, I sorry. Kind of a weird one. And this all happened in the small town of Rexburg, Idaho, which is where we went to college, which is kind of part of why it was so fascinating, because imagining all this stuff happening in such a tiny, sleepy town.
A town that's like, I think it at least used to be like on the books, the most conservative
It was
per capita county in
99%
America.
Mormon when we lived there.
Yeah.
99% Mormon. Oh my gosh,
99. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking very Mormon, very conservative, very small town.
And where I think people there sort of generally feel very safe because they're like, everyone's in my in-group. We're all Mormon.
And the out-group feels very real, very scary.
Yeah.
Idaho is a very paranoid place.
Amen, brother. I think we've learned this. All right, I'm gonna try and speed through here.
Kind of.
I'm trying to do this while Jason goes to pick up my son from band camp. So
Not, no shade on the cool people who live there. Obviously.
no shade on the cool people.
Chill people.
We are not shading the cool people. We're not shading anybody. I don't think they are, and I'm
And
not.
the government won't be helping you, and you just those types of fantasies. But
Manifest destiny.
Yeah, just this idea that like they like the idea of going somewhere where nothing's there, and the government won't be helping you, and you just kind of do your own thing. Whereas
rugged individualism.
Yes.
Prepper.
That's well said. Anyway, so this
Cowboy
statement.
ethic.
This is her statement that she gave to the court while she was being sentenced.
Yeah, so just before getting the sentence, the judge, it's just kind of a
Like
standing,
gives them a chance
to say something,
do a little piece.
Yep, give them say your bit.
Imagine if you just wrote like a 6 slam poem to like take into your
All right, I'm gonna need
jury.
solid base.
Decided like their statement doesn't affect anything at that point, right?
Pretty much, I guess there is like the chance that if
The
there's
judge.
They're talking about like Lori standing up and testifying at her sentencing.
any more information or just like one final consideration, the judge could potentially be like, all right.
In the
hang
final
on a
moment.
second,
I wonder how often that happens.
I don't know.
So anyway, though,
No.
it's like she was.
The judge would have to tell us, like the judges would have to let us know how much, like if somebody were to testify at their sentencing, how many times have they changed their mind, or do they make it up after that?
Guilty.
It would be
She
interesting.
was found guilty to like multiple life sentences, consecutive life sentences without parole. I need to do more digging
Amen.
into the hearings and things because I've stayed pretty just detached from it.
I understand.
But
I get
it seems like
would too.
maybe
Some pieces of
Trying to
the-
get to
the
where
whole-
they start talking about
and
Or
like I said,
sentencing
there's them all
testimony.
read. There's like so many and it all ties back to fundamental Mormon doctrines
Amen.
taught by Brigham Young and Joseph Smith even
that are
and
not disavowed.
it's interwove theological violence into its theology.
Mm.
And a point that we've talked about quite a bit on here is Zizek, who I have my own problems with, don't get me wrong. And someday I'm going to do a why I disagree with Zizek video.
Niche.
But
Bernie's just going the casual.
his critiques of God is almost universally connected with violence, that it takes being able to like abstractify reality and to view it in these like metaphysical ways for you to be able to commit
Visions of
violence
glory type,
against people.
I mean, even when you
in my opinion, visions of glory type of metaphysical manifestations, metaphysical ways. That's how they try to justify God. God exists because such and such happened. God exists because my sister Stacy manifested herself to me. She didn't just visit me, she manifested herself to me. Just like Moroni. Lori is not the only one to say from Mormonism, she is not, and they're not, convicted of murder or anything like that. It's normal for Moroni to manifest himself in the temple. Or I'm sorry, Jesus. I still don't understand who Moroni is in Mormonism.
you imagine like people in the army and fighting in wars, there's like a degree of, there has to be some level, don't they find that a lot of soldiers like won't, oh my god,
I mean, that's until
logical to be able to kill in wars and stuff.
they kill your buddy, and then you're like they're killing.
When you said that,
Yeah.
final statement and testimony.
And again, this is stuff that you
So this is her final statement and testimony.
And again, this is stuff that you would read in a book from Deseret Book. I grew up reading like stories of people who had near-death experiences, and it's always like, see, this is proof that God is real. This is proof that Mormonism is true. This is proof that we were all spirits and we made covenants with Jesus.
The first story in the Book of Mormon.
Here we go. You know, this is your Visions of Glory. This is your Chad Daybell books. This is your Suzanne Freeman books. Sarah Monet, or Manette, Hector Sosa. And this is this whole near-death experience group, you know, and no shade on any of them, but it's like shared delusional disorder, big time. And I've said that from jump. It's like folie à deux is what they call it. And then it's like a madness of two, and it's usually a brother and it's usually, you know, siblings. And here you have Lori and Alex, right? Folie à deux. Then it's folie à trois, and then like folie de famille, family, you know. So then there's the Cox family, and then there's, I don't know that much, you know, we know a little about the Daybell family, but not as much as the Cox side of it. But they all have one thing in common, and that is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, I mean, just think about the shared delusional disorder I believe is taking place. And it's not just within these two groups, these two families. This is throughout Mormonism, period. In my opinion, straight up, that's exactly what I think this is. So it's Folie de Masses, I think. I know I'm probably not pronouncing it right, even though I'm a Kunas from Louisiana. I don't remember my grandmother ever saying Folie de Masses. You know, it's more of a slang, Cajun French where I'm from. So anyways.
Is God asking you to kill someone.
Literally.
So it's like really not that much of a stretch. I mean, yeah, and obviously a percentage.
Let me go back a little bit.
First story in the Book of Mormon is God asking you to kill someone.
Literally.
So it's like really not.
That's the Nephi and Laban ending.
That much of a stretch. I mean, yeah, and obviously a percentage of the Mormon population are going to have some parts of their brain not functioning the way the rest of our brains do, and are going to be more prone to that kind of thing.
It's just like Lori saying in that testimony meeting that she had at Melanie Gibbs, where she was like, if he comes at you once, if he comes at you twice, if he comes at you three, you know, it says it right there. It says it right here in the scriptures, you know. So are you going to give me my temple recommend, or I'm going to commit murder, basically, Lori, you know? That's, oh my goodness. It's chilling.
Also, I feel like
so this potentially is 16 million members worldwide. And I just want you to put a pin in that. And I just want you to think 16 million people with a potential shared delusional disorder like Chad and Lori. Really grasp that. Try to. What about the rest of them? I've said that from the beginning.
Believing LDS people use like stuff like this where they're like kind of like with FLDS people, the way that LDS people will be like, that's crazy. We don't do any of that. And
I've heard this over and over and over again. We don't teach 144,000. We don't believe in the church we don't teach the church of the firstborn. Well, maybe not in your experience, but you can't speak on behalf of the church. The church hasn't even spoke on behalf of the church, you know? So that's pretty shitty for their members to have to speak on behalf of their own church. Why don't the church come out and say what the fuck it is? Because this is why I think they don't. Because they know that it very much incorporates and encompasses everything that Chad and Lori have done and deemed dark and murdered. So if I'm at this point where if you don't speak out against it, then you are complicit. Okay. So maybe it is sanctioned.
almost imagine that you're setting up this straw man, and they're like, but we don't do that. And it's the rest of us are like, we're not saying you do that. What we're saying is that it is rooted in things that you do believe, and the leap is a lot shorter than you realize. And this also has happened like extensively in the organization that you continue to support, and you like revere all these men that did do those things. So like that's what we're saying. We're not, but it's almost like LDS people feel justified in dismissing it by being like, well, obviously Mormonism teaches that murder is wrong. And it's like, yes.
And
on a very black and white level, kind of, yes. But also no.
But also teaches that it has the power to decide who is guilty of murder and who isn't.
And don't tell me you didn't grow up in seminary being asked if the prophet asked you to kill someone, would you do it?
Yeah, or yourself.
The fact that that has to be such a ubiquitous...
That's crazy. That blows my mind right there. Or yourself. Oh my God. Alex Cox, right? That's what we all think. For the most part,
this
majority.
Experiment in Mormonism should tell you what you need
It's
to
not
know.
giving Jim Jones at all. Hey, if the prophets asked you to drink, I mean, that literally was my seminary teacher was being like, you know, in the 70s when I saw all those people commit suicide, I thought, if the prophet asked me to drink Kool-Aid, I guess I would. So who am I to fault them? Kind of being like, you know, they have faith, rather than being like, oh shit, this whole premise is fundamentally fucked. Because that's like you're saying about the fundamentalists. It's like, it's not like these are the wacky people who went off and did something crazy. It was like they were the ones who didn't change, who were like, no, we got to stick to the fundamentals, the original tenets of the original faith.
And because those original guys that...
And it's not just Idaho, and it's not just Utah, because there's Jason Mao over there in Arizona. Lori came from Arizona. This is the Mormon. This is oh my God, I can't believe my mind just went blank. This is the Mormon Mormonism. This is Mormonism
that you love. Well, like, if this ever changes, you will lose the priesthood. The church will be in apostasy. You cannot ever change these
Do
things.
not sell out. And then the LDS church is the one that sold out.
Yeah.
But they say what he's saying is like the church sold out. Basically, like that's not what they put out there as their image. Do you see what I'm saying? For the rest of for them to be considered as regular Christianity, you know, and to be accepted more into mainstreamism, but they have not changed their ways. They still practice polygamy, and I believe, in my opinion, this is not what they're saying. Zelph on the shelf. This is what I'm saying. From, you know, I think the church actually paired Chad and Lori up, knowing that they were sealed to other members of their church. They were sealed to their husbands and her husband, and he was sealed to his wife. They knowingly teach this and practice this in secrecy, which is fucked up.
They really have a strong case, to be honest. I don't like it, but they do.
And they are that sort of like distorted black mirror that to history that
they're saying. It's like the church is able to say one thing and do another, just like they do in every thing else that they do.
That active Latter-day Saints don't want to look into. Evaluate the premises of their own faith, because what every religious person fails to understand is that it's the exact same neuropsychological phenomenon that are convincing them that their religion is true, that convinces a Muslim that their religion is true, a Hindu that their religion is true, a Buddhist that their religion is true. It's the same stuff going on.
So true.
But until, you know, you're willing to take a step back and, you know, kind of have a wake-up call and be like, oh, this isn't that much different than me. Like, should we get to it? Do you want to read it?
Can we do a reality check?
Try pleading insanity. That
Check
seems like it was
okay, that was I'm actually curious, because I was like, if I heard this and I was not an LDS judge, I'd be like, oh, she's like schizophrenic.
But he was an LDS judge. He was at one time an active Mormon, and he's from that 97% community, 97% Mormon. He's very much influenced by the church, whether he likes to, you know, believe it or not, or whether we like to believe it or not. 97% of the people in his Judge Boyce's community are active, practicing Latter-day Saints.
Like totally schizophrenic.
Well, yeah, and like
let me back that up.
Oh, she's like schizophrenic, like totally schizophrenic.
Wait.
Insanity. That seems like it would
that
be the
okay. That was I'm actually curious, because I was like, if I heard this and I was not an LDS judge, I'd be like, Oh, she's like schizophrenic, like totally schizophrenic.
Well, yeah, and like
And so what if you are a juror and you have, or if you're even following the case and you're like, oh God, yeah, they have some wacky beliefs. She is schizo, I mean, just, we all think they're crazy, right? Okay, check it.
surely this statement was like worked on with a lawyer. So is that what they're going for? Let's just see. Did what's her name? Did Laurie Vallow plead insanity? She doesn't want to use a mental health defense during her trial, even though her attorneys say she is mentally ill. Damn. So she rejected a mental illness diagnosis.
Her own attorneys are telling her she's mentally ill for the stuff that she's about to say that again is literally for sale in the LDS publishing company does her book.
Let's hear.
Sale in the LDS publishing company does her book.
Let's hear.
But just soak that in. Let that soak in. Don't do Mormon soaking. Sorry.
Hear it. Okay.
Let's go.
I would like to start by quoting John from the New Testament in the Bible. So
Goody.
You cannot argue with that. That's like right off the bat, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Instant
aces on the table.
Yeah.
You're going to just deny John of the Bible, the beloved? I know.
She's like, the dictionary definition of murder is... In John chapter 8, verse 7, Jesus says, he that is without sin among you... Oh, damn, that's an angle. He that is without sin among you... He who hasn't murdered their own kids among us. Come on.
Throw the first rock. Again, this story is not real, just... This was added centuries later by script. This is not a real thing that Jesus actually said or did.
Yeah. But I mean, I do appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, this is the legal system, babe. It's like, you're going to cast more... you're going to murder more people if we live. I don't know. I just don't trust her. Let him first cast a stone at her. Then in verse 15, Jesus says, you judge after the flesh. I judge no man. And yet if I judge, my judgment is true. Jesus knows me and Jesus understands me. I mourn with all of you who mourn my children and Tammy. Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered. Oh, is that because, they're just like living La Vida Loca way more in the next life? And so this is, they've upgraded to first class life-wise. That's
literally, again, that like abstraction. She literally has to believe that they're doing better, more important, more exciting.
More work. Over there on the other side of the veil.
Enticing things on the other side.
And to take this to
and
a
she wants to go there too. Remember Joseph Smith being like, a person would kill themselves to get there. Then wouldn't it be a favor if you just gave someone the push? You're giving them a better life anyway. What does it matter?
It's worth pointing out that the idea that the afterlife is like so superior and this life is just a test certainly makes it easier to justify a lot of like LDS beliefs around rugged individualism and like allowing children to start.
I think they're referring to like the preppers with the rugged individualism. It's a whole new label that I've just not heard.
Because their parents like don't get help from the government. You know what I mean? Like the all the conservative sort of prosperity gospel.
It'll all be made
ideas.
Up to you.
Yeah, it makes it easier to just be like, poor people, they don't matter. If they don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps, that's on them. Like this has nothing to do with me. I give my 10% of my money to this multi-billion-dollar organization, so I'm good.
The man born inheriting the emerald mine has the same opportunity as the man born working in the emerald mine. It's exactly the same condition.
Just work your way up. I do feel like montages in movies really gave me a false sense growing up of how easy it would be to work your way up. It's like you just put on like your tunes and you're going for it, and you're in the mailroom, and then you're in a small office, and they just make it
totally.
Seem, like how would you sustain that kind of like willpower and will to like engage in all, like that's just not how any of us work.
Oh yeah, the Rocky montages gave me such a false idea about how quickly you could get a six-pack just in the time of Eye of the Tiger,
Although also check your privilege, because I do allowed to say that. Knows that no one was murdered. Accidental deaths happen. Suicide happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen. Oh, so like also going with the like, and not only are they in a better life, I didn't do any of this. This is all just a series of misunderstandings
right?
for which you have extensive evidence.
Oh my god!
against me.
Do you think she believes it at this point?
Yeah, she did.
Hard to know, but it just feels a bit like random to be like, could have been this,
Oh.
could have been this. Either way, I didn't do it. Jesus is on my side. I have a different perspective in life because in 2002, when I was pregnant with Kylie, I died in the hospital while in labor with her. They tried to stop my labor. They put me on the table and they put something in my IV, and I felt my spirit falling to the floor. I was standing near my pregnant body watching the doctors try to revive it. Quite a common experience that people in all kinds of religious and non-religious denominations have experienced.
Yeah, it's funny. Near-death experiences like this are often cited by believers as, again, evidence of
Or
Christianity
alleged
being true
near-death
or whatever. But
experience.
the thing is people of all religious backgrounds experience them, and they tend to follow at least the archetypes or symbolic imagery of the culture that people are raised in. Hindus tend to see Hindu imagery. Christians tend to see Christian imagery.
Like, let's consider non-localized
Yeah.
thought experiment. In that time, my sister Stacy was standing to my left. I turned to hug her and was
this kind
surprised.
of, I
that her
talked to
spirit-
Jason about this last night, and I've had some dreams or whatever, and all of them, everybody was standing to my right, or I was in God's right arm, or it's all on the right, And so looking more into the SRA accounts, the satanic ritual abuse accounts, I've learned that there's this left-hand path or left-handed path or the left-hand path, and that's Satan, right? I'm just trying to make sense of what the meaning is, what the symbolism is with all that, because that's interesting, I'm just trying to make sense of the senseless murders, the nonsensical, but
spirit was as tangible as a physical body because I knew I was in spirit and she was in spirit. Her spirit was as tangible as a physical body.
I mean, if that's the conclusion that you've
That's
come to, then you must be right? Who
Okay,
told you
but
that? How did you know that?
that is in line with the Saturday's Warrior movie, but not technically with the doctrine of the pre-earth life, right? The whole point is that you
just like Chad's pickup line, we met in the previous probation, I think we met in the pre-existence. Hello, it comes from Saturday's Warrior, which was a popular Latter-day Saint show for only Latter-day Saints would understand it, the meaning behind it. Saturday's Warrior.
don't have a physical body, so it won't be tangible.
Yeah, I guess if we're getting into the sticks here of Mormon theology, it would be that spirit is matter. It's just less dense than this matter.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
Well, less
The
dense, I would
lights and the
say, would
darks.
mean slightly less tangible.
It's composed of Higgs bosons, where we're actually
Fuck off.
larger chemical, atomic.
So Stacy, I'm assuming is
structures.
Stacy her sister who's dead? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
She said she needed to show me some things, and we went to heaven. I later so we're not going to hear about the things. It's just like this is like a Jack Whalen novel. She showed me some things, really good things, best things you could imagine. Moving on. I later.
It's got to be like it's like a dream, right? You like wake up from that, and in a dream, you wake up from it, and you kind of like build a memorable story of what happened, even though you weren't
Around
like
it.
a full agent in it. It just sort of happened. You kind of remember it in these linear terms. And it has to be that same way. It's like you went to heaven, you were in the spirit world, and you went to heaven, when you went to the celestial kingdom. What kind of things did you learn? Like, to just say that means like you don't really have a concrete.
I mean, in her defense, it's not really the time or the place. But she doesn't.
She's laid it all out in the memoir.
She doesn't seem to much. Yeah, she doesn't want to give away her full memoir. We're like kind of having too much fun.
Oh,
with
I
the
will-
subject
We
matter
are.
of this,
not
and
like that.
we
really
apologize
don't want
for
to.
that.
Yeah,
And we
serious.
understand that it is
Calm it down.
sensitive.
I appreciate the fact that y'all are covering
But-
it.
It's, if anything, it's born of
is.
releasing anxiety
Yeah.
from a
You are welcome to
religiously
click off of
inspired
this
on.
kind of
yeah.
Everybody
no
in
way
this
one of us
community,
already
we
wants that.
appreciate that.
So I later returned to my body. Because of this experience, I have access to heaven and the spirit world, just on the stand saying this. Since then, I have had many communications from people now living in heaven,
Okay, that sounds like she's totally delusional.
Yeah.
It sounds.
including my children, Tylee, Ashland, and Joshua Jackson.
Oh my
my sisters, Stacy and Lolly, my aunts and my uncles, and my grandparents. It'd be funny if she threw a random one in there, like Steve Irwin. He got in touch.
Crocodile
Learned a
has
lot
been
from
hitting me
him.
up. The moves we're making on the reptile community.
Cooking up a lot of stuff for my own planet, let me tell you. How did someone not convince her? They can be like, even if you're not, this is how you stay out of prison. But she honestly might be too. I just feel like usually lawyers convince people like, no, you have to take a mental health.
She
did.
Maybe she really, really believes it. But the fact that she's saying all this,
Yeah.
but this is Mormon doctrine, all of this.
I've had many communications with Jesus Christ, the Savior of this world, and our heavenly parents. I have had many angelic visitors have come and communicated with me and even manifested themselves to me because of these communications.
They visited and manifested themselves to you?
I think like visited is maybe could be in a dream, but then
or an impression.
Okay, like
Yeah.
a dream and a vision. The difference in a dream and a vision. I learned this from Michelle McDermott. In a dream, you're sleeping. That's a dream. But if you have a guide, then it is a vision, which I've had a vision, and I didn't have a damn guide. But anyways, I don't know. Whatever.
When I was exiting Mormonism, I did try to do my due diligence and I was trying to just get as thorough of a picture I could of origins and broader Mormon community. And I talked to a lot of fundamentalists, self-proclaimed prophets, and people who are living like this. And when you start grilling them on what does it mean for an angel to manifest to you? Well, I was praying and I said manifest something, and I saw a bird fly by right then. What are the chances? And I'm like,
it's like, you're right.
Pretty
Nature
damn
is
good.
the greatest teacher. I do believe there is wisdom in the
But
birds
it's dangerous. It's like dangerous thinking,
True.
this kind of thinking.
trees and
Even
the fact that you have to then associate it to a homosexual is so embarrassing.
Yeah, we're religion especially amplifies our already strong predisposition to look for meaning in everything and to categorize all manifestations of the world as like
Which
relating
is so
deeply to our
close
personal story.
schizophrenia.
Exactly. And that's why schizophrenia is sort of like a spectrum.
It was
and
belief, in my opinion. It's a spectrum.
like
Let's listen to that again.
Which
relating
is so
deeply to our
close
personal story.
schizophrenia.
Exactly. And that's why schizophrenia is sort of like a spectrum, a far distant spectrum of consciousness versus like the normal features that we normally play with. One of the defining aspects of schizophrenia is an amplified releasage of dopamine, which I think is interesting.
Sounds tight.
Because you just
Does it feel good for them in that moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like think it like you're feeling constantly like, every message, everything that happens is like a personal message from God. But in actuality, it's very distorted because not everything is. This is an exceptionally good story that puts you in the center of all of it and endows you, just some person, with this divine gift and calling and special awareness and insight.
Oh my God,
and
I
also
love these guys.
Probably a special sense of morality where things aren't as,
It certainly seems like Laurie did not get what her needs met growing up emotionally. Like she certainly wasn't. She grew up in a really fucked up family.
Exactly.
Very
fucked up.
Mormon Stories did a really good episode with, I think, her cousin who grew up with her, but also
Megan.
You should only watch our videos after this.
Also, I disclaimer, not trying to armchair diagnose her with
yeah,
schizophrenia.
he's
Oh,
not.
no, we know
tangential
nothing, yeah.
conversation, and
Yeah.
certainly not meaning to imply that people with schizophrenia or any mental
Exactly.
are
Not being
like
insensitive,
things.
right.
Obviously.
I
Not
don't
saying
I don't think there's any risk of people thinking we're psychiatrists.
Someone in the comments will
Yeah.
for surely say that.
There's always somebody
that
in the damn
conversation always,
comments.
I understand the point of
Always.
like obviously having mental illness. Like we don't want to stigmatize mental illness so that people have this
But you have
impression
to
that
create
if you have
awareness.
mental illness, that means you're inherently more dangerous. But also mentally well people don't murder. So
Exactly.
like mental illness is involved, but it's just that like there's a massive spectrum of what mental illness can do to a person, and most people with mental illness are never.
And there's such a massive spectrum of belief disbelief, to what degree one believes in, to a degree of what mental illness she may have. There's a degree of everything, all the way down to their heavens. But I'm sorry, I just made a joke.
Never gonna be
and differing
murderers.
factors that play
Yeah.
into that are different for different types.
But I feel
Exactly.
like because everything just gets so like either or in our world.
Yeah,
It
Right.
just makes it kind of annoying to have a discussion sometimes. But I
white.
also get the points you're making if you love those comments. Anyway, so she said, I know for a fact that my children are happy and busy in the spirit world.
Scary.
Because of my communications with my friend Tammy Daybell, that is his ex-wife, I believe.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, who also
Former wife, his late wife.
I know that she
Was
is
killed.
also very happy and extremely busy. I love the like glorification of busyness even in the afterlife. Like she's not like happy and resting by a
no,
beach,
no, not
which
chilling.
is how normal people think about
Like
heaven,
them in
like
Kauai.
rest in Mormonism. It's
She
like
is so
busy,
quilts
busy.
for like a billion
I didn't even think about that until they just brought that up. Like, true.
in the spirit world. That's the coolest thing about having a
Interesting.
spirit tangible body.
I've always mourned the loss of my loved ones, and I've lost many in this mortal world. However, I know that more than most people, I know where they are now and what they're doing. I know how wonderful heaven is, and I'm homesick for it every single day. I
Go,
know.
girl.
Again,
Go.
if she genuinely, I could just.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so easy to see. It's so scary.
Isn't it?
So
Thank
wild
you.
that there wasn't a mental health defense. I almost wonder if her lawyer is like, yeah, tell them all that, like, to almost,
Just
you know.
like judge, like, are you getting this?
It's kind of weird that the person has to admit to a mental health defense, because then you're like asking a mentally ill person to like be able to recognize
Exactly.
that they're mentally, which I'm like,
Yeah.
surely some of them can't, as she cannot.
Totally.
I know we all
It's diagnoses, come on. I mean, I just don't have the words that they do, like I didn't go to school for this. I was not brought up in this religion. Don't have these kind of words. These are the big words. And so I've just felt so helpless with my hands tied behind my back. Everything they're saying is everything that I've been thinking and have learned on my own without anybody helping me to form my own opinion about this and educated as far as like studying the Chad and Lori Daybell and the people around them and reading Mormon doctrine, Mormon teachings, prophets, their Mormon prophets, reading all the literature. Oh, and there's so many books. I bought so many books at the DI, which is Deseret Industries, while I was in Boise. My friend, my dear friend, detective's daughter, I had to leave a lot of them at her house and I need to get them down here. It just costs a lot of money. So we're going to figure this out, because in a lot of those books I bought for like $2-3 a piece. I mean, Ezra Taft Benson, it's all the same shit. Different day, different toilet.
all lived in heaven before we were born on earth, and we were all adult spirits in the heavenly realm.
See, I want to know the importance of the whole adult thing.
We chose to come
We
to
were all adult spirit, not according to Saturday's Warrior. I don't know if you've ever seen that piece of
Right.
doctrine, but they got them of all ages there.
Again, just a reminder for our Never Mormon viewers, like everything she said so far could easily be in a Mormon sacrament meeting,
Mhm.
and
Thank
it would
you.
not be a big deal. Like if you were like, I get communications from my dead relatives, people would be like, that's so nice. I bet you do.
Yep.
We
And then
chose
it's
to
like
come to earth as more.
And then I find that there's a lot of competition. See, like how when Lori got up and talked at her sentencing, she did that to, in my opinion, a lot of Mormons do this, and ex-Mormons. It's like a competition thing. She took it away from everybody. You mourn, well, I mourn them too. I mourn my children. She don't get that, like she don't get to mourn them because she offed them. She murdered them. So to me, I don't care what she says. She doesn't get to take that away.
Mortals, heaven is more wonderful than you can possibly imagine.
So I did them a favor, I think, is what that
Yeah,
boils
yeah,
down to.
Of course. I do not
Right.
fear. I mean, it's blood atonement, isn't it? It's like that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
I do
it's
not fear
trafficking.
death, but I look
This one
forward to it.
even a more twisted one, because that one has like
Children.
this weird like justice element with
Mhm.
this, and this one
This
isn't
is-
like a negative consequence. It's like I was literally doing a good thing for them. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't punishing them. I was
Mm.
helping them because now
Because,
they're fucking happy.
and we got to think, there's only in the indictment, it's only to justify, they threw in the religious beliefs to justify the murders of the children, not Tammy. And so far, I don't believe it's in there for Arizona either for Charles. We'll have to really take a deep dive into that.
Busy and so happy, and it's better. And
Oh, that just reminded me of Melanie Gibb. Happy Chappy. Oh, I just want to slap the shit out of her.
Hanging out here in jail with you guys. I'm out. Actually, I would rather be in heaven.
It's weird because like this type of person is what we consider like the most evil type of person, someone who would kill kids, but they're so clearly the most delusional type of person. It's like almost,
Yeah, I mean, like,
it just shows how like terms like evil fall apart so easily when you
Right.
examine what, like, because no one, she obviously believes this. I mean, it's
and she's had a community around her that has affirmed this, and it has made her feel
Yes.
special for being
still
like,
though.
part
Do you
of-
think she's
Oh,
still...
at this point, no. I mean,
No,
Her and
but no, because everybody's like, it's like they discount and say, well, I'm a Latter-day Saint. I don't believe that way. So therefore, my beliefs are different than hers. No, they're not. Check yourself.
Dad still in communication, I wonder? They probably are.
No,
stop asking so many
they're
questions. I'm
codependent.
gonna have to do a deep dive, and then
Sorry,
there goes my
guys.
weekend.
Call me.
Just
Call
read the
me, call
statement
me.
and
Curiosity
roast it a
killed
little
my
bit.
free time.
I did not
Oh.
want to return to my body when I was out of it. Even though my son Colby, who I adored more than anything, was only 6 years old at the time. Oh my God. And I was about to give birth to this
Okay, but
new
just know
baby
that
girl
her
that I
story
wanted so bad.
has never been told before. That story that she said, that was a test of, like they go up and, see, I don't know the terminology. They go up in their fast and testimony. That's a fast and testimony. That's what it is. Fast and testimony meetings or something. And they testify in front of everybody. And it's just a bunch of people going up to the pulpit and just saying things like what Lori is saying right now. Think about it. So, I mean, I think they're buying it like as, maybe they don't know and didn't follow the case so much to where they are aware, or they're unaware that we all believe that this is bullshit. It's a bullshit story because she's never mentioned it before. That's the shared delusional disorder that I think is taking place here, because Chad Daybell didn't really tell about his near-death experiences until after he started publishing books for Suzanne Freeman and Hector Sosa, Julie Rowe, and so on. So, I mean, it just, I don't know. This, speaking of Julie Rowe, here you go. This sounds like what Lori said in her testimony. Why is it not playing? Oh.
You judge me so
Okay, let me see. Hopefully it'll pick up.
How dare you judge me? In fact, I dare you to judge me, because with what judgment you judge me, so shall you be judged.
That sounds a lot like what Lori said with the whole John thing when she first started out. When she stood, or she didn't even stand up. She didn't even sit up. She didn't even sit up straight. She slouched in her damn chair. Y'all know she was handcuffed the whole time. Jason was like, she's handcuffed. I was like, I wonder if she was handcuffed even like just after the break, because there was a 30-minute break, or if she was handcuffed the whole time. She had shackles on her feet too. So, and they had to turn the pages to her testimony, her lawyers.
She's talking about when she had that near-death experience. I was a young mother, and you would think I wouldn't want to leave my children, but as I stood in heaven, I did not want to go back. I thought they would be fine without me because I was peaceful and I was happy and I was home. But when because there's probably like such in near-death experiences like that, there probably is just like such a falling away of everything that's plagued you your whole life, and there probably is like just this sense of like equanimity.
I mean, it's like a ketamine hole or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like dissociative and
Yeah.
affirming
And collected.
and like you could see how someone could
Belief.
be in that like limited consciousness where there's like reduced brain activity, except in certain areas.
Yeah.
You could see so easily how this could happen.
So sad.
Yep.
But then I was told by Jesus that I needed to go back and complete things that I had covenanted or promised to do before I was born. This caused me a lot of distress because I knew heaven was my real home and I only wanted to be there. I was free from pain, emotional and
Go,
physical.
girl. Go.
But then I
Go.
was shown how I would help my children and
You're going
others
to
in
heaven,
the
though.
future. So ultimately, I did agree to go back to my body.
Did she see this in the future? Did Jesus give her a heads
No.
up like, hey, just so you know,
You about to
you're
fuck
gonna
shit
get
up.
pinned for the murder of your own children and your lover's wife? So that was that.
Probably not. I think just sort of vague.
And
You
more.
have work to do. And there's no better place to get shit done than prison, you know? That's how you carry out the Lord's work. Tylee has visited me. She is happy and very busy. Why are all the people busy? I just don't get it. Just like they have a purpose in being dead.
Projection.
Like yeah. Tylee is free now from all the pains of her life.
Isn't it being so goddamn busy all the time that makes life so painful? So you gotta like sweat and work and hustle so that you can.
That is the Mormon way, you know. They do create these communities, their wards, and community involvement. And the worst thing for a Latter-day Saint is to be cast into outer darkness, which is their equivalent to our hell, Christianity's hell. So the worst thing that could ever happen to a Mormon is that they are ostracized, they are shunned into, from the community or whatever. And this is the equivalent, of if you do bad, if you're turn away from the doctrine or whatever, away from the church, away from your Mormon beliefs, your prophets and everything, then you go to outer darkness. And so the worst thing you can do to a Mormon is isolate them, because everything is community, busy. They keep them so freaking busy. This is where this is making me think about that.
You can just have basic health care. Like
Tylee suffered horrible physical pain her whole life. I sat with Tylee in the hospital year after year after year.
Which is her goddamn job as her mom. It's her only damn job. It's just to take care of your kids, feed them, bathe them, make sure they have mental, emotional, spiritual, just a good development. Be their mother, be their support system. You definitely don't murder your damn kids. God.
While she screamed in pain when the morphine wasn't enough to take away the pain of her pancreatitis.
this is actually really
I know,
sad.
it's got really dark.
It is fucking sad.
What?
Yeah, makes you wonder.
Like, it doesn't seem like she's like I'm kind of like just taking her at her word, in that like she genuinely believes that she's having this experience because her whole community has only given her this paradigm to work with these ideas and concepts.
Enabled her and then
And
abandoned
then with an exceptionally manipulative person who's pushed her along. And but like, I think she really thought like she was helping.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
that is so sad.
tragic.
I mean, I imagine
From whatever side you're looking at it, like even just like a non-judging, just like witnessing a mom being in that circumstance and being like precious and unconsciously, like so.
Once again, I don't know. I'm not a professional on schizophrenia, but it sounds like basically everything that was like any kind of imposition on her and Chad needed to be done away with. And so I imagine I don't know that she sat down and was like, Tylee is really suffering. I imagine it was like the impulse came into her head of like, Tylee needs to go, and then the story would be built on it. And
She
then,
justified it.
I have a
Yes.
I hope this isn't sharing too much. Maybe we can cut it out and we can ask permission, or if I just keep it anonymous. But I have a friend who,
Here.
in the LDS church whose wife started delusions and went to an LDS therapist, started having an affair with the therapist who was like giving her blessings and stuff in the middle of therapy and being like, you need to.
Thomas Harrison, who wrote the Book of Visions of Glory, is a fucking therapist. Oh God. And he's a therapist for who? OUR's founder, Tim Ballard. Okay. Holy shit.
And she started getting revelations that
More on that later.
That things in his life were the problem, like his dog, who was the only. So she had to kill his dog, try to get his dog
my God.
down.
That's
just
horrible.
How did that help her case? Like the fact that she had a husband?
I think she was just trying to emotionally kind of strangle him, like
yeah.
just trying to squeeze him out so emotionally that he would have
Yeah.
to just like
100%.
I don't know. It's just crazy how
Wow.
exactly what you're saying. Like this is standing in the way. Gotta
It's just
go. It's the
different
best
story.
situation for everyone, for her, and it probably. I wonder if
It's
it
convenient.
probably just like under the
Yeah.
surface of conscious thought.
And it probably came like just a firestorm of mental activity that felt crystal clear, like this has to happen.
And then other people emboldened it and encouraged it. Oh God,
completely
it's
speculating,
freaky.
obviously.
Yeah.
Therapists who know stuff about
Trying to
schizophrenia.
hurry
please
before
weigh in,
Jason
but
gets
And
home.
again, not necessarily schizophrenia, just some kind of disordered
Sure.
delusional thinking.
I'm the only person
Shared
on
delusional
earth who knows
disorder,
Because
in my opinion.
even though she may have had that dissociative experience, you know, the near-death experience, the medically induced near-death experience, the way that she is reinterpreting
Allegedly.
it since and then projecting that onto her waking experience actually may not have like hallucinations, for instance, but like kind of like what I was saying,
Mhm.
being like, oh, I associate this thing happening with the presence of an angel, or this
Yes,
thing with the
yes,
presence of
that.
my daughter, or I got this overwhelming feeling that my daughter is close to me and is happy. Like it doesn't necessarily imply that she's having like hallucinatory delusional experiences.
her cousin who was on Mormon Stories told a story of when they
Megan
were
Co-
teenagers
Megan
and Laurie
Connor.
like delighted in a cat being killed. So just so you know, like she
Yeah.
long before that near-death experience, it seemed like she had this lack of empathy. It sounds like she was
Deluded. I really think with her dad Barry being a, now that I think about it, when I'm reading Visions of Glory, separately, you know, like I've been doing like little videos separately, which is what I set out to do today, but this came on. But shit, I forgot. So it was about Tom Harrison. Let me see.
really over-sexualized by her father.
Oh, the temple work thing. So I learned by reading Visions of Glory, which is Thomas G. Harrison. He's Spencer, and John Pontius is Visions of Glory, which is Lori and Chad's go-to handbook. Was with them the entire time, before the murders and after and during. He was a ordinance worker in the temple in Salt Lake City. So that, and he is a freaking child therapist about DID, like dissociative identity disorder. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's all I have time for today. We'll do more. This was enlightening for sure. I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Love always wins. My honey is home.